Ukrainians in our area gather in prayer tonight as their homeland remains under Russian invasion. We take you to the emotional vigil.
President Biden made history today, nominating the first black woman to fill a seat on the Supreme Court. Her message for future generations.
And we're staying calm and cold as we head through tonight. A warming trend takes us through next week. We're going to talk more about that forecast ahead coming up.
Live from Lexington, our home, your news. This is Fox 56 News at 10.
Good evening, I'm Marvin Bartlett.
And I'm Imani Payne. Kristen has the night off. A war half a world away having an impact right here in Kentucky tonight.
Our Danielle Miskell is in the studio with us now. She attended the Ukrainian Pentecostal Church in Jessamine County this evening. It hosted a prayer vigil as Russian forces continue to move across Ukraine. Danielle.
Yes, Marvin, hundreds of people came out. Marvin, Imani, back to you.
Danielle, thank you. The Jewish Federation of the Bluegrass joining federations across the country and raising $20 million to aid Ukrainian Jews.
There are more than 200,000 Jewish people in Ukraine. Many of them have been displaced overnight, seeking shelter from the war. The $20 million will provide food, water, clothing, and other supplies, such as cell phones, to reach families in other countries. It will help with funds for synagogues that have opened as bomb shelters and also pay for mental health programs and youth programs so children can continue their education through these tumultuous times.
We are very concerned with the crisis in Ukraine. Thousands are trapped in different conflict zones throughout the east of the Ukraine, and thousands more have fled through the fighting. Federations across the country have banded together to make sure that we have the ability to allocate millions of dollars to our partner agencies that are on the ground. And the urgency is now.
Mindy Haas says this will help with health care costs as many people seeking shelter are in confined areas and COVID-19 is still an issue.
To donate to this emergency fund, visit jewishlexington.org.
In many ways, it's been a damp and gloomy week.
But the sun will come out tomorrow. In fact, we may have several nice days in a row. Let's check in with Chief Meteorologist Chris Johnson for some good news. Chris.
Yeah, some good news is exactly what we're talking about as we head into the next several days. Monty?
Chris, thank you. A possible motive revealed in that deadly Madison County home invasion that injured former state lawmaker Wesley Morgan and left his daughter dead. The suspect's mother, Katie Gilday, releasing a statement saying in part, "I'm greatly saddened for the Morgan family, friends, and loved ones for the pain and suffering it is believed by the police that my son has caused them." She went on to say her son, Shannon Gilday, has not been of sound mind the past couple of weeks and that her efforts to get him treatment failed. She said her son believed that nuclear war was imminent, that he talked about building a bunker and even believed he was being followed by the CIA. Police say Shannon Gilday broke into the home Tuesday morning and began shooting. The $6.5 million mansion contains an underground bunker pictured in real estate listings. Shannon Gilday has not yet been located. The trial of former Louisville police officer Brett Hankison moved outside the courtroom today. Jurors visited the apartment complex where Breonna Taylor was killed Friday to get a better understanding of the evidence brought forth in the trial. The 10 men and 5 women spent about 15 minutes at the scene before returning to court. Hankison, who was not charged in connection with Taylor's death, is facing 3 counts of wanton endangerment for firing into a nearby apartment. To help curb challenges brought on by the pandemic, limited time relief funds will be available to children and young adults transitioning out of the state's foster care system. The Federal Support Foster Youth and Families Act will help children with basic needs such as rent, utility payments, car loans, and groceries. It will also provide resources to child welfare agencies in the state. Applications are open for submission through September of this year.
More to come as we go around the world in 56.
Including what the CDC is saying about moving forward in the pandemic.
Pope Francis broke diplomatic protocol today, traveling to the Russian embassy in the Holy See to express his concern about the war. Vatican officials say they knew of no such previous papal initiative, showing the Pope's anger toward Moscow's invasion and his willingness to appear personally for it to end.
Beginning Monday, students will no longer have to wear a mask when outside of a school building in New York City. However, students, faculty, staff, and visitors will still have to wear them while inside schools. The district continues to monitor case rates and work with the city's health department to determine the right time to fully end the mask mandate.
For most Americans, the masks are coming off. The CDC announcing big changes to its masking guidelines on Friday, recommending they be worn in public only in areas with high COVID transmission and low hospital capacity. Shifting to a broader view of overall community health, not just infection rates and case numbers.
The IRS reports that tax refunds are being issued. They say more than 22 million refunds have already been sent out, totaling $78 billion so far this year. The average refund is about $3,500.
Just how competitive is the housing market? Tonight's talker takes us to North Carolina, where there was a frenzy at a recent open house.
A realtor brought her client to view a house in Raleigh, North Carolina Tuesday evening, expecting things might be a bit chaotic. The 3-bedroom, 3-bath home in question was listed for $260,000, and she knew from experience that in the current housing market, demand would be high. What she saw upon arriving prompted her to pull out her phone and start recording. It was a traffic jam and a steady stream of people going in and out, making offers on the spot. Unfortunately, this is just a sign of the times and somewhat expected in 2022. Realtors say there is an extreme shortage of nice homes at prices under $500,000. And you know, I lived in Raleigh, North Carolina just before moving here, so I can attest to this. The housing market is crazy. It's a growing city, so I'm not surprised.
I'm going to ask you if that looked kind of familiar to you, but good news if you're a seller, but bad if you're in the market to buy.
Absolutely.
That's tonight's talker. Well, stick with us. Later in the show, a warning from the Better Business Bureau and the latest scam hitting Kentucky.
And how they're saying you can protect yourself from those scams ahead.
6 News at 10:30.
Russia's invasion into Ukraine impacting people right here in Kentucky. Matt Lehman, a Kentucky 4th District congressional candidate, lived and worked in Kyiv in Ukraine for nearly a decade. He says fortunately his friends there are okay. He says many of the women and children are fleeing while some of the men he knows stayed behind to fight. Matt says some of the places seen in these pictures, like this one here, of him and his family have been turned into makeshift bomb shelters. He says he's devastated by the destruction he sees taking place in what was once his home.
And I'm watching my neighborhood being bombed and, you know, having missiles and, you know, armies with, you know, the Russians have brought tanks and you know, and rocket launchers into civilian neighborhoods. You know, it's really hard to process. I mean, I don't know how else to say that. It's just something I would have never thought possible.
He went on to call Russia's invasion unjust and is calling on the U.S. and its allies to further help support Ukraine.
Monty, Marvin, back to you guys.
All right, Chris, a lot to like there. Thank you. That's all from us, but don't go anywhere.
Our sports team is up next with a special playoff edition of High School Sports Extra. Have a great weekend.